It is now my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Dr. Shadi Daher, who will deliver our 2010 commencement address. Dr. Daher is a proud alumnus, having received both his DMD and Certificate in Advanced Graduate Study in Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery from the Boston University Henry M. Goldman School of Dental Medicine, after arriving in this country from Lebanon. During his studies at BU, Dr. Daher was inducted into the Omicra Kappa Upsilon Honorary Dental Society and received the Pierre Fauchard Academy Award, the American Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons Award, the Quintessence Award for Clinical Achievement in Research, and the Academy of Operative Dentistry Award. Dr. Daher is the current president and chair of the board of your Alumni Association and a valued member of the Henry M. Goldman School of Dental Medicine's Dean's Advisory Board. He was also just recently named the president-elect of the Boston University Alumni Council, where he currently also serves as a member of the board and chair of the School and College Relations Committee. This is truly an honor for Dr. Daher and truly an honor for our dental school that the university, President Brown, has recognized him to take on this role as president-elect, then the president of the Alumni Council for the entire university. He is also the founder, inaugural president, and immediate past president of the Boston City Hospital, Boston Medical Center Dentistry and Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery Alumni Association. Dr. Daher is a diplomate of the American Board of Oral Surgeons, a fellow of both the American Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons and the International Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons. Dr. Daher is one of the founders and is current president of the charitable organization Medical Missions for Children, which provides oral and maxillofacial surgery to children in need around the globe. In addition to his volunteer activities, service work, and private practice, Dr. Daher lectures internationally. Dr. Daher is truly a role model whom I encourage you to look to for guidance on what you can and should do to serve your communities after graduation. He is the very model of professionalism for a dental practitioner. His standard of care, ethical behavior, and professionalism is one to which we should all aspire. As you begin your journey today as a dental professional, I know that the address that Dr. Daher is about to make will be an inspiration and a guide as you endeavor to start or join a practice and conduct yourself in a manner befitting a graduate of the Boston University Henry M. Goldman School of Dental Medicine. Shadi and his lovely wife, Millie, who is sitting with us today. Millie, welcome. A practicing periodontist, now think of that family, an oral and maxillofacial surgeon and a periodontist, have become great friends of Kathy and mine, and we marvel at how they manage all that they do while keeping their 3 beautiful children and their family a priority. It is truly an honor and a privilege to welcome Dr. Daher to the podium to address you, to deliver our commencement address. Dr. Daher.
Dean Hutter, thank you so very much for these really generous and kind words, and for so many things. First, and most importantly, to the class of 2010, congratulations, you've made it, you've earned it. Dear colleagues, faculty, friends, family members, spouses, significant others, thank you so much for the opportunity and the honor of addressing you today. First of all, as the president of the Boston University's Henry M. Goldman School of Dental Medicine's Alumni Association, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome the class of 2010 into our ranks. Doctors, welcome. Today is one of the biggest milestones of your lives. And you know that you've earned it. You've earned every bit of it. Let everything in this day be a statement and a tribute, be a testament, really, and a tribute to your achievement. Let the smiles that surround you today and the hope that fills your heart this hour always be an emotional capital to draw from. A capital that grows with every withdrawal and renews with every use. I am tasked by Dean Hutter, in his generosity, to be one of the last obstacles standing between you and your diplomas. I am aware of that today as much as I was aware of it 20 years ago, when I sat much like you in a seat much like yours, and I could hardly wait for our commencement speaker to say the words. And in closing, as a matter of fact, I think that these 3 words are almost all I remember of that speech. So with the expectation of a similar treatment by your memory, I would still like to share with you a few little stories and their big influence on my life. I am a man who found my destiny on the road I took to avoid it. In the mid-1980s, the war that had been raging in my country of birth for 10 years finally claimed our homes and lands. We became displaced, which is kind of a nicer word to say homeless because of war. I was a student at the American University of Beirut, and hard decisions had to be made in a hurry. After months of agonizing discussions and delays, and with a lot of luck, my entire family and I decided to abandon what little was left and immigrate to the United States. And although I refused to admit it to myself or even look too closely then, it was at that moment that I began to lose track of what I thought was my destiny. It has been said that man makes plans and God laughs. Well, he really had a peculiar sense of humor that year. Because later that summer, as I was trying to make arrangements to actually go back and continue my studies, the security situation deteriorated so much that it became untenable, and I found myself stranded with a green card, but nothing much else. No official papers to make a transfer possible. I had to take a job. I actually had to take many jobs. It took a year to sort everything out, and during that year, I worked as, among other things, a machine operator. I spent days on end making precision drill bits, learning the manufacturing process, the alloys, the tolerances, and so on. I never could have imagined how much that peculiar set of skills would become such an important part of my life and career. In fact, I was accepted into the class of 1990 at Boston University School of Graduate Dentistry, as it was called then, almost exactly 1 year to the day after landing in this country. The simple lesson that I learned from that is that life itself is a far better planner than I could ever be. My life's course was set and unfolding, and it did eventually lead to many blessings, the greatest of which is meeting and marrying my beautiful wife, Millie, and having 3 beautiful children together. Above and beyond the excellent dental education that I, like you, did receive, the life lessons of the few years at BU are ones that I also continue to cherish, and they continue to affect my life. One of them is the importance of friends. On the first day of class, again, not unlike you, I met some of the most interesting, intelligent, creative, and loyal people, my classmates. They became my closest friends and have made the 4 years of school all the richer in experience and in learning. And now, as we prepare for our 20-year reunion, it's becoming ever clearer how important that friendship has been to us all. They provided us with certain points of reference. They kept us grounded and helped us support each other in tragedies and in triumphs. Take a look around you. Seek out your friends. Congratulate each other. And know that this is only the beginning of an amazing journey together. Early on during these years at BU, it became my dream to train as an oral surgeon. Luckily, for me anyway, Dr. Thomas Kilgore was available to help guide me toward achieving that goal. And at the end of one of our meetings, when I told him of my plans, he said, and I paraphrase, you realize that most of oral surgery is extractions and office-based surgery, and not the big exotic surgeries you may have heard or read about. And of course, I quickly and dutifully replied, oh, of course I do. And he then added something to the effect, try to find something new in every case, even now in dental school, to learn. Leaving his office, I was wondering why and what was he trying to make me understand. But over the years, I did realize that that was one of the greatest lessons I could ever learn. It is so obvious now that I'm almost embarrassed to state it, but I will anyway. What makes up a career, what makes up our career, is largely a collection of procedures and cases that are overwhelmingly of the smaller and the seemingly repetitive varieties. But what transforms any career into a passionate quest is always trying to find the small lesson in every little thing we do. Learning something new, no matter how small, from every case and every patient will invariably enrich our lives. I remember that lesson every day, and I urge you to do the same. Another vastly important lesson about life was gleaned from a comment made by none other than Dr. McManama during a senior year treatment planning seminar, and it was about looking at the whole patient's case rather than at the individual teeth. It seems so obvious now, doesn't it? However, a few years back, when a group of friends and I arranged for a highly paid and nationally known consultant to conduct a retreat for us, the big lesson of his first day with us was take a step back and look at the big picture. We are in a business where it is expected of us to spend an inordinate amount of time and an exacting amount of skill and concentration working in an area that may be so small as to require loupes or microscopes to see it. So reminding ourselves as often as possible to look at the big picture is not only helpful, it can be vital. Our chosen field, with its multitude of career paths, holds many wonders. It bridges art and science, draws on our knowledge and skill, and it always, always tests us on so many levels. Looking at the past 20 years, I realized that most difficult challenges, or the most difficult challenges, and the tallest hurdles often lie within us. It is yet another lesson learned at our school that I draw upon also on a daily basis. I had postponed my pediatric surgery rotation as long as possible because I was unsure, and frankly, I was terrified of the prospect of having to deal with an apprehensive or even panicked child. Finally, I had to do it. I had to gather up all of my courage and get it done by assisting in the pedo clinic. As luck would have it, it turned out that to be the day when Dr. Steve Perlman was treating a group of children with Rett's syndrome. To say that the children were not very cooperative would be an understatement. Nevertheless, many lessons were learned, and they were not only in the skill and artistry of the treatment rendered. The biggest one was in the humble, quiet confidence, the compassion, and the unflappable composure with which Dr. Perlman treated these children. At the end of that very long afternoon, the little girl that was our patient spontaneously and very quietly turned to each of us and gave us a big hug. A lot of what I am and what I do today, I can trace back to that moment. That small child taught me that often the only control I have is over my own emotions and actions, but the results can benefit all involved. One of my great mentors, Dr. Philip Maloney, always said, "We are only as good as our last 10 minutes." A scary thought at first, but when lived by the principle of compassionate composure, any last 10 minutes should never be a cause to worry. I have quoted professors you know and some you may not have had the chance to meet, but the fact is every single one of our mentors, instructors, of our classmates, of our staff, and our patients has a measurable effect on the dentists we become. However, there is one lesson that I learned not from a person, but rather from a wall. The wall of names of the benefactors to our school that stands in the first floor of the building at 100 East Newton Street. It is a long list, indeed, that contains many names of dentists and non-dentists, many of whom did not receive their education at our school, yet they chose to financially support it. They made it possible for me and for you to have a school to which we sought acceptance and in which we were thoroughly prepared for a rewarding career. We have been given a great opportunity. We took advantage of it. It is now and will always be our responsibility to help keep this responsibility available to aspiring applicants from all over the world. I believe that all these lessons that are so significant in my life might be even more so in a future student's life, and that it is up to me to make that happen, or at least to help it happen. I have been personally involved with alumni activities at our school for over 15 years as one of the many ways to give back. And I can't remember any class having done what you, the members of the class of 2010, have done to offer a financial class gift to the school. Thank you. You have set an amazing example. Give yourself a round of applause. The life lessons and the skills we learned in our alma mater are numerous, and they form a currency that can be spent across borders and on any continent given the chance. And the last story I want to share with you is about another small child, this one in Ecuador. As Dean Hodder mentioned, Medical Missions for Children is a charity that a group of friends and I founded about 10 years ago here in Boston. We seek to deliver medical, surgical, and dental care to poor, indigent children and young adults around the world. During one of our missions to Ecuador in South America, I found myself face to face with a small 6-year-old child that was carried into the examination room. And my first thought was, boy, does he need help. He had a very large cleft lip and palate, with an assortment of somewhat minor facial deformities. And what was really striking is that he was born with no elbow, knee, or ankle joints. And yet, he could move quite well by quite adeptly moving his hips. I knew that we needed to help him. However, we couldn't rule out cardiac problems that are common with these kinds of syndromes. But simply because I could not turn him away, I added him on as a second alternate. When the rest of the team arrived a day later, there was a pediatric cardiologist who actually cleared him. He said he can have surgery. But by then, the operating room schedule was set. By Thursday, however, there was a cancellation. And on Friday, another one. And the second alternate, our little 6-year-old, got operated upon. A 40-minute procedure. We closed his lip. That's all we did. And we left. And we always go back a year later to the same sites. And so we saw him a year later. We were going to operate on his palate this time. And what we did not expect is everything else that changed in that 1 year. Of course, his lip looked better. There was a little scar. But now he told us that he can play soccer. What does a lip have to do with soccer? Well, you see, you can't play soccer by yourself. You need other kids to play soccer with. And even his own siblings were afraid of him, were scared and turned away by the grotesque appearance of his face with his cleft lip. Repairing his cleft lip allowed him to play. It also allowed him to go to school. He had not been to school before. And I can't describe to you the pride in his eyes when he showed us his report card from that year. And one other consequence was that his mother can now get a job because she doesn't have to watch him 24 hours a day. He can go to school, and his siblings can watch over him. And so this story reinforces to me that a lot of good can come from making a simple choice to keep an option open, to create a new possibility for these children, many of whom never had a choice. Every action we take has unintended consequences. In my life and work, as in the execution of our missions around the world, I find that these unintended consequences are far more likely to be beneficial and positive when, before ruling out any possibilities, we start by extensive collection of information, a thorough review, and a deliberate planning, and then make a choice. You are now in possession of an impressive knowledge base and an enormous skill set. And today is a celebration of this knowledge. You will now begin to seek to apply what you know and learn about what you don't know. This is what our diploma entitles and obligates us to do. We are all expected to make the tough choices. And in closing, you happy now? Allow me to remind you then that whether you realize it or not, and someone already had said it today, you will change your world, even if only by changing yourselves, or by simply being there to keep a small window of opportunity open. Remember that the choices you make are invariably based in all that you have learned willingly or otherwise, and that these choices can affect so many others in so many ways. I know that you are ready to make your choices with humble, quiet confidence and compassionate composure. And I hope that you choose to be leaders, to make a difference, and to give back to your families, your communities, your profession, and your alma mater in the measure with which you were given. Congratulations, classes of 2010. Thank you.